And the final day of the first stop of this year's BMW IBU World Cup Biathlon in Östersund, Sweden, is a men's pursuit. The head-to-head race, the actual type of race that made this sport what it is today in the public eye. It is a 5 times around a 2.5 kilometer loop for 12.5 kilometers. Everybody chasing the winner, the World Cup leader and surprise of the season, Johan-Olav Botn, who leads his teammate Martin Oldal by 11 seconds. The snow is falling in the National Biathlon Center in Östersund, Sweden, located in basically the geographical center of the country, and considered culturally to be in the north of Sweden, but right around freezing, a little bit of snow falling. Saw the same conditions earlier for the women's competition. And with me, I'm Chad Sommel, with me as ever is Scott Dixon, former British World Cup biathlete. And Scott, based on what we've seen this week, it's been a pretty surprising week for the Norwegians. These two men at the start of the field, going out first, Johan-Olav Botn and Martin Oldal, really, Botn not really World Cup tested prior to this week, but it comes in and just passes with flying colors and is actually doing biathlon at an efficiency I don't think I've ever seen in a beginner in a World Cup, or a real beginner in a World Cup.
He's got immense talent, and much of that's come from his unbelievably fierce training regime. But he's come out here and he's delivered wonderful performances under a great deal of pressure, because this is Olympic selection time. Every single result matters in the eyes of the selection committee.
Quentin Fillon Maillet came in and got a third-place podium in the sprint, but he was no match for these two Norwegians who both shot clean, Martin Oldal and Johan-Olav Botn. Let's just put this in perspective. Johan-Olav Botn has started this World Cup season with a perfect shooting score. We're pulling up this year's stats. He's 100% in his shooting prowess, and a -7. It was a speed we've never seen. Scott, it's maybe a little bit skewed by the size of the field with so many people trying to make the Olympic qualifications from some of these smaller nations. But still, all considered, Johan-Olav Botn is putting up some incredible statistics.
That's right, and you can just see there even how that translates into meters, seconds and meters, and 71 meters behind is Oldal and 91 meters behind is Quentin Fillon Maillet. And it's so interesting to see that those gaps translated to meters, and you'll see them separating physically as they go, and that creates a really important psychological dynamic in this race. Botn knows that it's his to lose.
You see Campbell Wright, bib 18 for the United States. He's starting a half a kilometer behind Johan-Olav Botn. He's got to make up a half a K over the course of this 12.5 kilometer race to take the win. Lots of great storylines to unfold here. Lots of experience too. Quentin Fillon Maillet comes in with the most number of pursuit victories to his career. He's got 9 wins in this style over the course of his long career. He's 17 wins total. But one interesting thing about Quentin Fillon Maillet, who starts in third, he has never won in Östersund.
Well, it's the start of the season quite often, and that does have its implications. But of course, we rewind the clock back to the World Championships. He had a chance to win there and then, but that's against some fierce competition with Johannes Tingnesbo and Martin Fourcade, and lots of drama and lots of high talented people at that time. So it's Quentin Fillon Maillet has come into his form later in the season sometimes, and we'll see how he does today.
The last person to win here in this discipline was 2 years ago when this race happened, and it was the local man, Sebastian Samuelsson. He is starting 5th today, chasing from 25 seconds back. Also, Vetle Christensen has won a pursuit here in 2022, as has Sturla Lagride, who's won here in this discipline in 2021. All of them in contention. Lagride starting in bib number 4, Vetle Christensen bib number 6. So these two young athletes who have been basically taking the world by storm now have to face a head-to-head competition to stay on top of the World Cup's order, and they're being chased by veterans in Fillon Maillet, Lagride, Samuelsson, and Christensen, all who have won here except for Quentin Fillon Maillet.
And it was interesting hearing Botn after his race yesterday during the interview saying how important it was for him to focus on the moment he misses for the first time and not allowing that to bother him, because of course he's not missed since he's been here in Oestersund, and the miss is going to happen at some point this season, this trimester, and when it does, for it not to be a shock to the system.
Yeah, a little bit of an outsized disappointment for this man who has been perfect on the shooting range. And You know, in ski jumping, they say like you have to jump unconsciously to win a ski jumping World Cup. Kind of the same thing in biathlon, especially a forced shooting stage. You have to kind of not think about anybody. You got to be in your own little bubble, and Botn has done that. But now, can he do it in a head-to-head setting in a solo competition? He is on course and will be chased in just 11 seconds by his teammate Martin Uldal. Uldal looking for his second career victory. Botn has won the last two. And it's Quentin Fillon Maillet just 3 seconds behind Uldal. Starting 14 seconds back, and then 25 back will be Sturlaholm Legride. And he will be joined in the same second by Sebastian Samuelsson. And then 5 seconds to Vetle Sjostad Christiansen in bib number 6. Sivert Guttorm-Bach and Amanda Watch kind of quietly lurking there in bib number 7. A very strong shooter. He's 100% on his shooting, prone shooting this year so far. And right behind him is Tommaso Giacomelli, the great Italian, Eric Perot, everybody's bright favorite who has yet to perform at the level I think everybody expected him. He is in 9. Malte Stefansson, a total surprise, in 10. Maxime Germain next to go for the United States in 11. Great race for him in the sprint. Philipp Navrath on course now, and running out the top 15 will be Justus Strelo for Germany, Martin Ponsaloma for the hometown Swede, and Victor Brandt, his teammate, in bib number 15. Philip Horn maybe jumping a little bit ahead of the guy he started on the same second, but jumps ahead of the Swede, Victor Brandt. Vladimir Iliev, there is Campbell Wright. And right behind him, Isak Frey, who has really delivered in the relay, but hasn't really stood out as an individual yet like we maybe expected him to.
Yeah, and I think those two are my favorites for climbing up the order today. We've got Campbell Wright and Frey starting right beside each other, both of whom are extremely fast, both of whom are capable of hitting very accurately in the 4 shoot sequences. So I think we can expect Wright and Frey up in the top 10, perhaps top 5 today.
The first pursuit of the season is always a bit auspicious and a little bit nerve-wracking for these athletes as this is the first head-to-head competition done in solo competition. They've done a couple of relays, the men's relay, women's relay to kick things off on the first day, and then the single mix and mixed relays on Sunday of last week. This Östersund stop, the first World Cup, whether it's in Östersund or Kontiolahti, which has become the sort of norm, has kind of become almost a mini World Championships, not doing every single discipline over the course of 9 days. But nonetheless, 7 competition days in 9 days is a big way to start a season. And these athletes are holding up quite well. Johan-Olav Botn now approaching the very first time check of this 2.5 kilometer loop. It's at 1.3 kilometers. We'll see if he has gained or lost anything. But Quentin Fillon Maillet has made up the 3 seconds for sure on Martin Uldal. That's distinct.
Yeah, and Quentin Fillon Maillet skied about 21 seconds slower than Botn in the sprint. Botn, of course, being one of the fastest men in the field. He was just 2 seconds slower than Ponsaloma in the sprint. But Botn was the fastest overall by a considerable margin, 18 seconds faster than Samuelsson in the individual. Botn is in great shape.
Here are the 3 veterans who know each other well. These athletes have competed for wins. As you see, the red bib, the overall World Cup winner in this discipline last season, Sturlaholm Legride, took 3 wins alone out of 6 races, so he won half the races last year in this discipline. He is chasing in 4th spot right now. And Tommaso Giacomelli leading the second chase pack. He's going to come through 40 seconds back. He started the day at 38, so losing 2 seconds to Johan-Olav Botn.
Giacomelli, year on year, Giacomelli climbing up. He was 12th in 2023, then 8th in 24, 6th in 25 overall, and then 7th in 26. He's constantly on the climb.
Here's Philip Horn, who has skied very well. He has been in the top 10 in both ski individual races. He was 6th fastest time in the course time in the sprint that set up the start order. Of course, everybody chasing the winner from the sprint and from the time back they finished in this pursuit. 5 laps of 2.5 kilometers. Prone, standing.
You can see Iliev there getting in behind Frey and Campbell Wright, and that's going to be a really fast pace, but Iliev has a lot of experience. He's been around for a very long time, 421 starts to his name.
A nice look at the V2, as we call it in the American lexicon. Scott, what do you see of the technique of Johan-Olav Botn as a skier?
Well, as he's coming up this incline, his legs are a little bit wider. He's not bringing the foot directly beneath his body. I'd say Uldal very much is. And it depends on the individual, really, as to what's most beneficial. But tempo is important. And bringing the feet right underneath you, as you can see with Sebastian Samuelsson now, just means that you can glide that little bit longer on the ski.
Yeah, Samuelsson has worked on his skate technique quite a bit. He tends to sit back more than most of the athletes we see, but he seems like he's successfully worked on that over the summer. Seeing a good technique from him there.
And Jacamel leading the way for the third chasing group as Botn is now relaxing and recovering. And this is one of the key areas for the biathletes too. You can see that the wind is bringing all the snow to the left-hand side. So they've got a headwind here, but nevertheless, recover. Get the oxygen into the body, into the muscles, so that the shooting is more controlled.
Botn giving up a couple seconds. He's now 9.3 seconds leading at that 2.1 kilometer mark. Just a negligible amount of time, and I think that's probably just to prepare himself to try to keep that shooting streak going. And it is, as you pointed out, Scott, that first miss is going to be a doozy because it'll be the first of the season. He's dropped now to 6.1 seconds ahead of Uldal and Fillon Maillet. So letting them in just a little bit on the ski form. We'll see if that pays off as a strategy as the Norwegian teammate and the French veteran come in and pressure him just a little bit.
We can see how settled he is, getting in behind his rifle, using his body weight to press against the hand stop. And clean, the first shot goes down for Botn, but Uldal has managed to close the gap entirely to pull the trigger at the same time, almost in unison. But now the two Norwegians have gone 4 for 4 with one remaining shot. They both managed to go clear. That's fantastic shooting from the Norwegians, and Fillon Maillet with one mistake.
Fillon Maillet, the veteran, he falters first and goes to the penalty. Christensen will join him there. But Lagreit and Samuelsson will chase Johan-Olav Botn and Martin Uldal. It's the veterans versus the youngsters as lap number 2 takes off in this men's pursuit from Östersund.
And now back in, he's got an opportunity. He's got 4 out of 4. Jacamel goes clear, Stephenson goes clear, and now back in also going clear, putting them in contention. They'll be coming out around the same time as Quentin Fillon Maillet, or at least just with a little gap to catch him.
Ponsaluma and Germain from the United States, both with a penalty loop. They'll be joining several of the athletes coming out of it. Navrath goes clean, and Iliev and Wright now on the shooting range, trying to make up about a minute's time. But boy, when Johan-Olav Botn is that efficient, it's going to be hard for anybody to make time on him.
And Fry, he goes clear, 5 out of 5. Campbell Wright, he's not missed a single target, but shooting slower. And now Campbell Wright goes 5 out of 5, so Fry and Wright are very much on the hunt, so keep an eye out for those names.
They started 118 back. Let's see if they make any time on him. Here is Fry, who's actually has dropped Campbell Wright, mostly on the shooting range, but Wright comes through now. Fry one minute back, and Campbell Wright, they both made time. Fry has made 18 seconds on the leader, and Wright has made 9.
Such discipline there from Botn, managing to get all 5, nice and controlled. He's continuing his hit streak, and every time he comes in and manages to get those 5 out of 5, it just adds to the attention we're all putting on the fact that he still hasn't missed a shot here in Oestersund, despite the windy conditions.
Dovzan of the Slovenian team, always a fast shooter, shot prone in 23 seconds, the fastest time out there. And course time, Mühlauer from Austria actually throwing out the fastest course time of lap number 1. So Martin Ponsaluma right behind him, 0.2 of a second back. Campbell Wright skiing very quickly, as is Fry. They were 14th and 8th respectively. So that explains kind of their move up through the order. But here is back at the front of the field now. Martin Uldal, very savvy. Botn gave him a little bit of a doorway, and he opened the door and walked through it as Uldal has erased the 11 seconds now that he lacked at the start of the competition.
And now here's an opportunity for the coaches at the side of the track to give feedback to Botn. His targets, or he clipped the lower left side of the target with his prone shot, which means that he's not perfectly centered. So he's going to receive that information and adapt if necessary.
So what might have caused him to be in that, have that trend in his shooting?
It can be just an accuracy issue where you just don't line up the circles right, or it can be something more like the wind, and in that case he would be able to respond to that more objectively depending on how the flags are displaying the winds next time he comes into the range.
Quentin Fillon Maillet checks in, and the second loop of the first time check, 24.7 seconds back. He's lost 10 in aggregate, but has a penalty loop. So that tells you Quentin Fillon Maillet is being very efficient comparatively to Botn and Uldal with that miss. He's moved back up into fifth, right behind Samuelsson, but 10 seconds back of the Swede.
Perot, Christiansen, they're side by side, or at least very close together, 9th and 10th. Two very capable athletes who can win races, particularly these. And Perot, of course, we know he can, even with 47 seconds down now, he could still win this race.
Martin Ponsiluoma, Vladimir Iliev, Isaac Frey, and Campbell Wright all creating a chase pack, a second chase pack at the 3.8 kilometer mark, but they're quite a ways back. Wright 103 back, Iliev 101 back. Even though they're making time, they're still not making a ton of time. Victor Brandt, who started 15th, still hanging in that group as well, just 6 seconds off of it. He has a miss on the day, but right now, through the top 20, most of the field clean. Just 5 people with a miss to the top 20.
And Uldal, 30th fastest ski time on lap 1. I think they're pacing themselves very sensibly.
Yeah, Uldal really didn't, he caught Botn, so solid performance, and this tells you that these guys have another gear when called upon to deliver, as you see Uldal and Botn.
Something tells me that the strategy for Norway today is take it easy, come into the range, at least in the first couple of laps, with plenty blood flowing through the veins, without too much stress in the muscles, and then open it up. And it just shows the discipline, the fact that these capable fast skiers are actually really far down the order. Samuelsson very much included in that after lap 1.
Legride and Samuelsson making time on the two Norwegians. Not a lot of time. They go from 11.5 seconds back to 10.8. It's a second and a half, but it's still a trend. Botn was comfortable letting Uldal in before the prone shooting, the first prone shoot, and he looks pretty comfortable letting them stay there as well right now. And they're not really pulling away from anybody. They're, as you say, Scott, taking a conservative approach. Now as Samuelsson and Lagride move within 8.7 and 9.1 seconds respectively, coming into shooting number 2, the final prone shooting stage for the men in this Östersund Opener World Cup. Chad Salmela and Scott Dixon bringing you the excitement as 4 men now contend for the win. 3 of them Norwegian, 1 for the hometown of Sweden.
First shot
perfect.
Goes down for Botn, Uldal. They're both shooting almost in perfect unison, but Uldal, first one to miss. Botn still, until I spoke, he misses the 4th shot. So now there is that miss that Botn was talking about, but he didn't fear it. He got the last shot, and now Lagride and Samuelsson have an opportunity, and Lagride take it. So too does Samuelsson. Excellent shooting from the duo who were chasing and now will be leading.
The 2 athletes who have been perfect all weekend long are not perfect, but the veterans are perfect at the right time and will take the lead. They will flip the tables on the youngsters as Lagride and Samuelsson go clean through 2 shooting stages and lead this first pursuit of the year by 14 seconds over Uldal and Botn.
And Stephenson and Bakken, they both go clear and are on the chase. So too is Perot. Christiansen with an opportunity now. He also goes clear. So now the start order, or the top 10, is beginning to condense, and the order's changing.
Here comes Perot trying to throw his hat in the ring. He'll come to the time check with a miss from the first standing stage. Goes clean this time. He's 32 seconds back, is Perot, and he started 40 back. So he has an aggregate move up, but that is because Uldal and Botn have also missed.
And Frey has gone clear. So is Campbell Wright, Navrat. So Estrello, I should say. Excellent shooting from them 3. But now, look at the time difference. Frey, 46 seconds back. So he's closing that gap each lap. He started 1 minute 20 behind.
Campbell Wright with the fastest course time in that lap, and he seals it up with a clean shooting as well. Very rare that you see that happen. Maxime Germain, on the other hand, has the fastest shooting time of that stage so far, 26 seconds with 24 athletes through the stage. Here's Philip Horn. He goes clean as well. 1 miss on the day, but he's 114 back. Maybe not quite as fast on the skis as he has been.
Now, speaking of speed on the skis, Campbell Wright, no surprise, fastest lap, second time of asking, and 14th the first time. So it does seem like he's taken his foot off the gas somewhat. And there's a miss, top right for Botn.
You know, as things heat up at the front of the field, a name we haven't called a lot, but has been silently performing this week a little bit is Botn. He is currently sitting in the 5th spot after the second shoot, and he set himself. He started in 7th. He's still in 7th. 27-year-old has really been, as you said, Scott. He's really been welcomed back by the community, and was surprised at how emphatic and how many fans he has on his return to the World Cup.
Yeah, he only made a very small feature, but he really impacted the biathlon lovers around the world. As we know, biathlon lovers love particular individuals from any nation. It doesn't have to just be from the nation that they belong to, but Botn returned and was greeted with open arms by the biathlon community.
And above all the stories that we're telling here as we look out at the third of 5 laps at 6.3 kilometers, Samuelsson and Lagride are starting to force their will on the field, but they give up a couple of seconds to Smoerdal and Botn as they led by 14, leaving the shooting range. Now they are down to 11. Perot. 29 seconds back is Perot. Left the shooting range at 32 back, so he's making time on the leaders.
It seems almost like whoever's at the front decides to take it a little bit easier, to enjoy that space that they have at the front, to bring their heart rate down somewhat. But we did see the effect of that. It didn't actually work out for Botn and Smoerdal after their second visit to the prone shooting.
That's right. I think they were a little less aggressive than maybe they normally would be, and it didn't pay off. So, you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword. You have to figure out where you're going to fall at any time. And I think a lot of that, they have to probably just perceive how they're feeling.
Yeah, and I think sometimes that defensiveness can actually work against you. I don't suppose that they are being defensive. I think they're probably implementing a fantastic strategy, and sometimes misses happen, right? But of course, there is the risk of just being a little bit too careful, and that can make you think more. If you've got more time to process what's going on around you, so in comes the thoughts that are not welcome.
Sports psychology is such a thoroughly important factor of all sport, but in very few sports does it factor in to the success of at the world level as the sport of biathlon, and it's often held up to the light as a sort of master class of sports psychology, as it requires so much confidence and balance in the way you approach your competition. And these are all masters as we watch the chasers, Perot, Christensen, Stefansson, and Botn trying to close down the gap. They're 23 seconds back of the lead and chasing Smoerdal by about 17 seconds.
And you can see there with Samuelsson just in behind Lagride, having to put in a few early kicks just to close that gap, indicating that Lagride could have faster skis, especially given the fact that Sebastian Samuelsson was actually drafting him down the hill.
So Scott, third shooting stage, first of the standing of 2. How critical is this shooting stage to the outcome?
It's absolutely pivotal. Of course, there's only one more chance after this shoot to get it right, so any mistakes need to be taken into, or need to be recovered. And I think that Lagride with 90% hit rate in stand and Sebastian Samuelsson 78, the stakes are very high, particularly for Sebastian Samuelsson.
These two athletes have given Smoerdal and Botn, as they line up to shoot, they've given them 3 seconds over the course of that loop, and they both have misses. Samuelsson with a miss, and Lagride with 2. Samuelsson trying to hold it together, and he does, but he still has to go to the loop. He's got a little bit of a gap, but Smoerdal misses as well.
And now an opportunity for Botn, who's coming through with 2 hits. It's 3 now. He still hasn't missed anything in stand. And he gets it. Fantastic shooting from Botn there. 5 out of 5. And could it be back in the lead for Johan-Olav Botn?
Botn by himself. He's going to retake the lead after giving it up for just 1 lap. And he's 14 for 15. And will head back out on course all by himself with nobody within. Well, Samuelsson comes in 8.8 seconds back. I was going to say within 10 seconds, but Samuelsson is there. And guess who comes in third? The man we've all been waiting for, Eric Perot, finally shows up in the leaderboard.
And would you look at that? There's Christensen as well. Back in. He was in 6th initially, he's down to 4th. Quentin Fillon Maillet right in behind him, so the big names are very close. Within 17 seconds, we've got 7 athletes.
Isaac Fry and Campbell Wright come in 9th and 10th. They're just 35 seconds out of the lead. They're in striking distance, but they have to be perfect in the last shooting stage and hope for somebody to miss, or several people to miss, to have a shot at the podium or the win. But it's a cast of very tough characters at the front of this field after shooting number 3.
Well, it's not very often at this point you have so many athletes, 10 within 35 seconds, who are all very capable of taking the win here. But also Jermaine, he's done really well, 45 seconds back, that's with a penalty, and in 11th place. So is skiing incredibly well, and kudos to the Wax Techs who are managing to make that happen as well.
Campbell Wright, one of 3 athletes clean through the top 15 through the 3rd shooting stage. He's hit 15 for 15, and that is why he is in the 10th spot and has moved to 35 seconds back of the lead. But at the front of the field, Johan-Olav Botn is going to get tested now head-to-head by Sebastian Samuelsson. And say what you want about Johan-Olav Botn, he's been great this week. But this is a pursuit head-to-head. He's going to have a huge test ahead of him in his final shooting stage, as it is a head-to-head battle for the win. There's Eric Perrault leading that chase group. Right behind him, Vetle Schuster Christensen, Quentin Fillon Maillet.
And Perrault there, just leaning almost a bit to the side, just to look around him and see if anybody else wants to go and take the lead.
In that group as well as Tommaso Giacomel. That's 17.7 seconds back after the 3rd shoot.
Now Samuelsson is really trying to close this gap, and he's going to be putting in a lot of effort because Botn is no slouch. Is going to be very quick up there, and Sebastian Samuelsson, despite the fact that there was an 8.8 second gap, is committed to closing it, and that's going to pay a heavy price on the legs.
Let's talk a little bit about the setting here, Scott. We're at 8.8 kilometers. Botn is back in the lead. He's been spectacular all week. He has got his first miss of the season. He's got the hometown crowd and favorite, Sebastian Samuelsson, very Olympic tested, World Cup tested. Botn is still relatively new to the world order. He has been great, but he's going to be shooting head-to-head on a Swedish shooting range with the Sweden's best. And he's never really been in this position before to win a World Cup in a head-to-head shooting match.
And the question is he able to close off from all of those things that you just said? All of those absolutely pertinent facts are just noise that can only contaminate his process, and he's demonstrated an ability to close off those elements. So too has Sebastian Samuelsson. However, Sebastian Samuelsson is not shooting as accurately as Botn at this championship so far, not in stand.
He has got Sebastian Samuelsson's shooting so far has been pretty stellar, not as good as Botn's, but we're talking about perfection versus near perfection. 95% correct or hits for Samuelsson so far this season. But Botn has been perfect from standing. He's not missed a shot. His first shot missed in the prone at the last shooting stage. But a pressure cooker building as only a biathlon pursuit can deliver. Into this final shooting stage, coming to the 9.6 kilometer mark, it's Botn leading, and Sebastian Samuelsson seems to be content sitting on his heels.
And you can see that chasing group just off in the distance, closing the gap and fighting hard. And that just means that if either of these two in the front miss a single shot, and if any of that chasing group go 5 out of 5, they will take the lead.
Botn ceding time to everybody. The most time he's ceded is to Samuelsson, who closed that gap very quickly, leading the shooting range to the 8.8 kilometer mark. He actually made 8 seconds on Botn, which might explain why Samuelsson is just relaxing a little bit now. He knew he put that spike of effort in to catch Botn, maybe to try to pressure him and get inside of his head.
Well, there you just see a little bit of tactics, a bit of gamesmanship there, as Botn was like, hey, do you want to go in front down this hill? And Sebastian Samuelsson rejected the offer. And that's just a little bit of, there's a headwind coming in, and whoever takes it, of course, has a little bit more work to do at the front before the range.
So let's set this up. You've got about 22-second penalty loop. You've got 10 athletes within 30 seconds for the win. It's basically, you miss one, you probably lose. You miss two, you're definitely out.
Well, if you take a look at those names at 30 seconds back, 8, 9, and 10, that's Legride, Fry, Wright, all of them very, very capable of winning this race as well. If they managed to get all 5 targets, and we see misses up at the front.
I go back to the World Championships in 2019 when Dimitro Pedrucci showed up in the final shooting stage and just stole it from everybody, because everybody in the World Championships that year was freaking out about whether they could win a world title. This is a World Cup event, but still a big moment for Botn to see if he's for real. Starts with a hit.
It's fast shooting from Samuelsson, and we have a miss from Botn. Sebastian Samuelsson still manages to get the targets down, but misses the 4th. Is quick shooting from Quentin Fillon Maillet. He goes 5 out of 5. Eric Perrault with an opportunity, misses the last shot. Great shooting from Quentin Fillon Maillet.
And Quentin Fillon Maillet will very likely, if he can stay on his feet, take his very first victory in his long career in Östersund, and it will be the men's pursuit in the opening week of competition in this Olympic year of 2025-26. And what a great turnaround for Quentin Fillon Maillet. He's skiing great. He has 2 misses on the day already, but cleans at the most important time and leads by 19.1 seconds over Johan-Olav Botn, and Samuelsson just 4/10 back in 3rd.
And Campbell Wright
in the picture.
We just saw Campbell Wright. He also went 5 out of 5. Exceptional shooting from the American.
You can interrupt me anytime to announce what Campbell Wright is doing. Campbell Wright goes clean on the day, 20 for 20, and trails by 34 seconds, but unfortunately it's just not quite enough to get him in the podium picture. But QFM.
It really is a battle for this last lap. It's going to be a ski challenge, a painful challenge for so many of these remarkable biathletes, but Campbell Wright, the only one so far to come out of the 4th shoot who's managed to get all of those targets. Uldal had a meltdown. He misses 5 in total at the end of the day. But look at this. It could be any of these athletes now to secure 2nd place.
The Norwegians struggle today for the first time of the season, and Botn remains the top athlete at 19.1 seconds back. He's in a battle, locked in 2nd spot with Samuelsson. But this man here, he is a long time. He had a great season 4 years ago and has struggled a little bit since then. 33-year-old Quentin Fillon Maillet comes in here with 17 victories to his credit, 9 pursuit wins, more than anybody in the field competing today, and comes away with an 18 for 20 shooting performance and has the lead by 19.1 seconds for potentially his first win on this venue. Botn and Samuelsson locked in battle. We got to be careful not to let Giacomo carry Eric Perrault into the picture for a podium spot as well.
And this is where tactics are going to be really pivotal. There's some downhill opportunities where if you get in behind somebody's slipstream, you can slingshot, particularly this part right here where Quentin Fillon Maillet is just dancing over the snow. If you can slingshot around your opponent and put an attack in up towards this timing check, that's a great place to make an attack.
Quentin Fillon Maillet ran the fastest course time in that 4th lap, which is maybe a foreshadowing to what we are witnessing in the fact that he decided to take control in the 4th lap and 4th shooting stage. At 11.3 kilometers, he's come through, and his time, 27:39.9. He was 19 seconds ahead of these 2 chasers, and he's going to lose a little time, but nothing to be concerned about.
That 19 seconds, close to 17.8, indicating Fillon Maillet is absolutely not going to concede this, not on the skis. And Botn and Samuelsson need to know that with that gap being nearly impossible to close, it's a head-to-head, and that means it's tactical. And I'm surprised a little bit that Botn hasn't just moved to the side to allow Sebastian Samuelsson to take some of that hard work at the front.
And we know that Samuelsson is a good finisher. Not as good a finisher as maybe Vetle Sjoste Christensen, who crumbled a little bit in that final shooting stage and sitting back in 7th spot, 34 seconds back. But we haven't seen a lot of Botn compared against the rest of a World Cup field in his sprint capability.
No, we don't know.
Kind of a mystery.
Well, I'm excited because obviously we see at the Pyeongchang Olympics in 2018 when Sebastian Samuelsson and Benedict Dahl were fighting for the silver medal, and Sebastian Samuelsson found something from seemingly nowhere, and that was when he was extremely young and new to the success of World Cup racing. So here's an opportunity in front of his home crowd, but against the unknowable Botn.
Tommaso Giacomelli and Eric Perrault, their chances are dwindling as they lose a little time to Fillon Maillet on the course, and Botn and Samuelsson take a few seconds, so it does not look like Giacomelli and Perrault can launch a really credible assault on the podium spot. But here goes Sebastian Samuelsson now, trying to put Botn to bed, and he looks like he may have done so. Botn is trying, but he doesn't look like he's able to quite generate the speed that Samuelsson does. And Perrault and Giacomel might possibly catch Botn as well if they can find a little more power between now and the finish line. But at the front, a high five or a side five for the man who will take home his 18th win of his career. Sebastian Samuelsson has put Botn in the rearview mirror, and as long as he stays on his feet, we'll chalk another one up for the more mature and seasoned veterans, as Fillon Maillet puts the familiar names in the sport back at the top in first position. Fillon Maillet takes the victory in the pursuit, and he is psyched. Samuelsson with a great turn of speed in the final meters makes it undeniably second for the home team, and Botn with a spectacular week in Östersund wraps it up with a third podium finish in third spot. Giacomel fourth and Perrault in fifth. And it's Campbell Wright in sixth.
And a fantastic sixth, done in style, 20 out of 20 for Campbell Wright, and he's just turned it around. All those previous days of effort and challenge and up and down on the range, shall we say, have been put to right, quite literally.
Nice pun, nice turn of pun there. Christensen comes in to seventh, 31.4 seconds back. Pretty tight race, 30 seconds to seventh. Sturlaholm Lagreit, just too many misses and at the wrong time. 3 misses on the day. He comes in eighth, 43.7 seconds back. Sivert Kudo and Balkan, 2 misses on the day, comes in ninth. And Isak Frey comes in 10th. Martin Uldal, a tough shooting performance for him, 5 misses on the day. But Martin Poncelow up a big move from 14th to 12th, despite 3 misses on the day. And Maxime Germain comes in the top 15, finishing 14th with a two miss day as well.
Norway all the way from 7th down to the 11th, one after the other, just making it so hard again for the selection committee. Christensen will breathe a sigh of relief knowing that he's actually at the front of that chain. Only one Norwegian ahead of him, that being Botn.
There is your podium in Östersund to wrap things up, and a great 7 days of competition over 10. And a little bit of a cheer for the Swedes as Malte Stefansson tries to come in the 15th spot. He's racing Hofer and Ader and Gunka of Poland in a photo finish for that 15th spot. Every one of these spots, the tally of your World Cup overall standings matters based on where you finish. It doesn't matter the time. You get points for your position, as we see Philip Horn come across in 20th of the starting field of 60. Emilien Jacquelin in 21st. Fabien Claude in 22nd. Over 2 minutes back now, 2:15 back to Claude. Strelo, 23rd. Burkhalter, 24th. It was a great competition and exhibited all of the pressure points of this sport and why it is such a popular event.
It's so exciting, and it's so interesting to see the tactics that seem to be universal today. Take it easy on the early laps and open up towards the finish.
Another hometown crowd roar for Victor Brandt, who comes in 25th.
Good job.
Eliav Stalder, Falk, and Guigonat all into the finish as well, as Guigonat and Strolia trying to stay in the top 30 in a photo finish.
Yeah, Stalder climbing from 57th all the way up to 27th, 30 places.
Yeah, it's a great finish for him. Jacquelin as well, even with 3 misses, went from 42nd to 21st for France. Fabien Claude from 41st to 22nd. When you're starting that far back, you have to take a little bit of victory for yourself, don't you?
For sure, and Stromsheim, he'll be really disappointed with his first World Cup. As we spoke about before, it's quite likely that he's not going to be able to stay on the World Cup. We've got Surum and Johannes Dali Shevdal both vying for their place on the World Cup, and unfortunately 38th and 52nd place from Stromsheim just doesn't cut the mustard.
Yeah, as Norway in the sport of biathlon, they're so strong that it's the comparisons each week between the IBU World Cup and the IBU Cup. It's sort of a soap opera as who moves on and who gets dropped. But we know that Johannes Dahle on the IBU Cup is skiing very well and will likely replace Stromheim in Hochfilzen next week. Jesper Nalin comes across the line ahead of Dovjan of Slovenia. Planko right ahead of him in 40th, 41st, and 42nd. 40th is kind of an important spot because that is where the points for World Cup standing end. Sean Doherty in 43rd.
And Jesper Nalin, he will be frustrated with that performance. He's capable of so much more. And 39th in the sprint and 42nd in the pursuit is definitely not the way he likes to operate, especially with lots of other Swedish names now getting ahead of him, with Brandt being the foremost amongst them. Oh, Stephenson, I should say, of the unusual or lesser seen names from Sweden.
Paul Schomer and Sean Doherty close out the American efforts today in this start order of 60. Doherty in the 43rd after starting 53rd. Schomer staying even, missing 3 on the day. He started 46th and ended in the exact same spot. As we see bib number 56 trying to rile up the crowd. Malte Nordgren is 52, is Florent Claude Borkowski from Ukraine in 53rd. And things winding down and at this first of 9 stops on the BMW IBU World Cup for 2025-26, the all-important Olympics, of course, figuring into it in February. In a very familiar place, Scott, Antolz, Italy. I've remarked several times that the Olympic venue has never been more familiar in the history of the sport. Every Olympics, it's been a new, until this year, every Olympics has, since 1960, has built a new biathlon course for the world to try out. A new approach for our organizing committee. They're going to use probably one of the most well-known courses on the IBU circuit for the Olympics, and it changes the dynamic a little bit, doesn't it?
It does, and it's so popular. Everybody loves it, not just for the atmosphere, the party, the enjoyment, the excitement, the culture there, and the views. It's one of the more exciting ones from a visual and tactical perspective for the athletes themselves. They'll all know it so unbelievably well that it does mean that we get to sit back and enjoy how they approach it tactically, knowing the track so well, unlike Pyeongchang, unlike Beijing.
There will be no excuse that we didn't figure this out in time. We've been the wax technicians who work for these teams. They know this venue like the back of their hand. And I think what I like about that is that it will come across as the fairest way to go about an Olympic Games. Because if you look at the last several Olympic Games in both cross country and biathlon, the venues have been really almost enigmas. The weather changes. The teams didn't really know how to do it, and the teams with the biggest service teams tended to do the best because of that factor, that they had more people to throw at the wall to make it stick. Not the case in Antolz, and even in Val di Fiemme for the cross-country skiing, same thing. It's a very, very well-known venue. In fact, the cross-country community will go to the Olympic venue for the Tour de Ski in less than a month before the Olympic Games, so they'll get a trial run there.
Quentin Fillon Maillet missing the first shot, or missing in prone, both of his visits in prone, getting all the stand. Sebastian Samuelsson doing the opposite, getting all the prone down, but missing in one target in each of the stand visits. And it's so great that we've seen a victory from Quentin Fillon Maillet here in Östersund in the pursuit.
Absolutely, and just a confidence builder. And when you have a miss each of the first 2 shooting stages, as a less experienced biathlete, you might sort of give up a little bit. But Quentin Fillon Maillet did the opposite. He kept fighting and came back clean. And spectacular performance by QFM.
Yeah, absolutely. And Botn actually shot the same as Quentin Fillon Maillet, and he started with an advantage, and yet still managed to lose that lead, indicating Botn's slower strategy perhaps wasn't as effective as we might have thought.
The winner of today's competition was as far back as 10th, starting from the 3rd position with 2 misses from the first 2 shooting stages. From there, he took out his shovel and started digging, and he dug himself out of that hole, moving up to 5th in the 3rd shooting stage and then leading by the 4th shooting stage by 20 seconds. And that is how it's done. That is a mature and the performance of a veteran who is in good shape.
Emilien Jacquelin climbing 21 spots. That's nothing to scoff at, that's for sure. That's despite missing 3. Tero Seppälä will be frustrated to fall down the order so many. Same with Florent Claude. You can see why he didn't put in a sprint finish at the end there. If you're dropping 21 places in a race, it certainly can't feel good.
For DNSs, this time of year, a lot of illness goes through the camp at a first World Cup, just the bodies coming together from all over the world and germs being spread through the group, so we have a few DNSs. But here's Johan-Olav Botn continues to lead commandingly, despite giving up his first loss of 3 races. He won the first 2, and there's a nice gap over Sebastian Samuelsson. But Sebastian Samuelsson and Quentin Fillon Maillet, a good start for them as well.
Yeah, fantastic start. And Quentin Fillon Maillet, we know he's capable of bringing back numerous Olympic medals, as it just remains to be seen whether he can pull it off once again. He's a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, both from Pyeongchang in the pursuit and in the individual.
See Maxime Germain, in 18th spot, solid start for him. The American contingent, Wright and Germain, really showing good form at this World Cup opener. You get a look at Johan-Olav Botn there with a 19 for 20, which is, by comparison to what he's done all week, it's kind of a disappointment, but 19 for 20 is hardly a disappointing shooting performance.
Yeah, you just want to see all of those targets go down, and it's a shame when it doesn't happen, especially when he's proven to be so good and so effective. But also he's now on everyone's radar to be potentially the overall World Cup leader. And Perot might not be too happy to hear about that, but all of a sudden he's come out of nowhere and he's on everyone's radar.
We'll call it a new world order with the young. He's not that young, actually, 26 years of age. And that's the thing we have to point out. He's not young and he's not inexperienced. He has just not been on the World Cup very much as he finishes his, I believe it was his 12th start today. Yeah, 12th start for Johan-Olav Botn today, and it ends up in a 3rd place podium finish. But what a streak he's got. He's 3 for 3 as on a podium. And if he keeps that up, he is going to rewrite the record books for a debut or near debut season. He's not really been on the season from start to finish ever in his career with only those 11 starts. So he's had a smattering of dipping his toe into the world level, and he has jumped in both feet this week in Östersund.
Sebastian Samuelsson had the 5th fastest pursuit time in total today, if you factor in the skiing and shooting and take away all the differences in start time. And the winner would have been Campbell Wright if it was just a standalone race. 29 seconds faster than Fry.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. 3rd. Pretty amazing for him that he can do that. He was 29 seconds clear, and that clean shooting absolutely matters. The difficulty is that he had the 2 misses in the sprint, which set him up in 18th spot. But it shows you where you can make up and where you can possibly be a winner someday if you're looking at Campbell Wright and you're looking at the numbers.
And likewise, Hofer, he did brilliant. He managed to get all the way from 28th to 16th. And that was with the 7th fastest time of the day. Just 52 seconds down.
Your quick podium. Quentin Fillon Maillet, win number 18 for him in his career, but his first win on this video.
Congratulations.
That's what you have to say.
Starting with a victory this first long week of World Cup, and it's your 10th pursuit victory. Wow, what a day, huh?
Yeah, what a day, especially on the last shooting. We was 7-6 athletes for fighting for the win. And I think I was feeling we fight hard on the last loop with some athletes, but finally not. I'm really happy of my race today, and the feeling on the victory, it's amazing.
You love this kind of races. How do you focus and give your best in this, as you said, crazy conditions, 7 people fighting for the victory?
You know, I can't explain, but I think to fight with some athletes on this condition and stressful and nervous last shooting give me more energy, more power, and yeah, you know, I can't explain, but it works.
Well, it definitely does. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
10 out of Quentin Fillon Maillet's victories have come from pursuit competitions. He just loves the battle, and you hear it from there. He can't explain it, but it's something that is just natural to him.
You want to talk about a sport that ebbs and flows as you look at the overall World Cup pursuit score. Obviously, Quentin Fillon Maillet takes the 90 there, 90 points. But you want to talk about the ebb and flow of performance. This is a man who won the overall World Cup Crystal Globe in 2022 in the Olympic year. He won 5 Olympic medals at the Beijing Olympic Games. And as recently as this fall at the roller ski races in Dresden, he was very frustrated, showing frustration that his young teammate Eric Perrault had won that event and nipped him at the line. Things feeling, you could tell, it just didn't feel like things were going Quentin Fillon Maillet's way. He dropped from the world's #1 in 2022 all the way down to 16th 2 seasons later. Last season kind of bounced back to 5th after a rough start, and now wins again. And you can tell he feels that championship feeling again. And the sport of biathlon over 14 seasons can take a lot of different angles. And my point is, Scott, you just got to wait. You got to wait and see what happens. And I think Quentin Fillon Maillet is in a very different place than he was just in October.
Yeah, and I think you can see, just even with the energy of his response like that there, you can see how much it actually means to him, which is a funny thing to say because, of course, a victory means a lot to anybody. But he's been in this place so many times before, so many victories. And this one, I think, to me, it just implies that he's going to have something for the Olympic Games. And some of his early races where he managed to get up there onto the podium, battling in Antolz, in mass start, with Johannes Tingnes Bö, that was where it all began for Quentin Fillon Maillet, and now he's the veteran amongst them and proving once again that he's capable of taking away medals and potentially gold medals at the Olympic Games.
Midway through the Beijing Olympics 4 seasons ago, he was the man. Everybody was talking about Quentin Fillon Maillet because he was one of the winningest athletes at those games at that time, and then he suddenly in the final couple of events got overshadowed by 2 gold medals won by Johannes Tingnes Bö. Bö is gone. Fillon Maillet is on the rise in this Olympic season, and it just begs the question, what is going to happen between now and the Olympic Games? But this is a good sign, and the smile on Quentin Fillon Maillet's face is probably a dangerous thing to the rest of the field.
Well, if I could just infer from these results today what to expect at the Olympics, and assuming that the form remains something like it is now, Campbell Wright is looking like an Olympic gold medalist. To win today's pursuit by 29 seconds is remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, for him to, the 6th place doesn't tell the whole story, but if you consider his bib says 18 and he finished in 6th, and then you look at that statistic, there's a sleeper there. There's a sleeping story, and the story on the American camp is that in the United States, in the Olympic movement, the United States has won Winter and Summer Games. They've won a medal in the Olympics in every single sport that the U.S. Olympic Committee supports, except biathlon. It's a big sport, and it's a big story within U.S. biathlon, whether the Americans following it or not. It's kind of a monkey that the United States has to throw off their back, and Campbell Wright is in position to do that.
I have to say I'm sad for Stromsheim, who has proven to be world champion in Lenzerheide last year in the mass start, and struggling today with the 25th fastest time of the day.
Well, he can take a little bit of solace from the path of this man. He'll always find another day and another way to find your way to the top. And Anders Stromsheim can do what Quentin Fillon Maillet has done since October. He has gone from being frustrated and jamming his poles into the ground out of disgust to jamming his pole into the ground across the finish line in celebration. Campbell Wright into the flower ceremony again and sitting in the overall standings. In the World Cup overall standings, Wright has moved up into the 12th spot overall. But here's your podium. In Johan-Olav Botn's mind and heart, the week spent in Östersund, November 29th to December 7th in 2025, will go down as a special place for him. It's a place where he emerged among the world's best biathletes and leaves this venue after 2 wins and a 3rd place finish with the yellow bib and a nice big lead in the overall World Cup score. And that will go down in the history books as one of the most impressive jumps to the lead of the sport in history. Last man to win here in this discipline 2 years ago. Drops down 1 spot. Sebastian Samuelsson with a great finish to drop Botn to 3rd. And Sebastian Samuelsson has to be considered one of the big names with the fitness he's showing for the upcoming Olympic Games. Quentin Fillon Maillet grabs the top of the podium and, for a moment, wrestles the biathlon world from the arms of Johan-Olav Botn. He will not be the leader of the World Cup, but he gets a win. It is his 18th win of his career. First win in Östersund in a long career, 14 seasons on the World Cup, and at long last, he stands atop the podium in this Swedish town and well-known venue of this IBU World Cup. And a happy
115th podium, just 3 behind Raphael Poiret of France, who has 118 podiums.
Anytime you're in the realm of Raphael Poiret, such an illustrious career, you know you're doing something right. Quentin Fillon Maillet for France takes the win. The hometown team, Sebastian Samuelsson comes in second, and Johan-Olav Botn, who has been an absolute revelation in Östersund, stays on the podium, drops 2 rungs, but makes this Östersund World Cup stop mostly about him. Tommaso Giacomelli, bib number 8 for Italy, comes in 4th. The youth movement following Botn on the podium. Eric Perrault, we expected a lot from him. Maybe expected him to do what Botn did, but the season is young. And Campbell Wright, an enigma, an absolute fan favorite after just a couple years on the World Cup. A New Zealander who was born to American parents and racing for his parents' home nation of the United States, a United States citizen. Spending a lot of more of his time now in the United States racing with the U.S. Biathlon team. Campbell Wright, he's on the rise, Scott.
He is, and he's bringing so much excitement and unpredictability to the sport.
Det visar att det är OS, det här är våra viktigaste världscup.